SPS versus mixed reef. So mixed reef is difficult because you won't be able to get everything thriving. Because guess what? If you turn your lights up, your acans are going to lose all their color and they're going to shrivel up. So soft corals and LPS corals don't like strong light for the most part. Some don't mind. Zoas, I find, are fine in strong light, but some don't like it. So that's why they need different flow requirements, all these sorts of things, and probably even different nutrients to some extent. Although I think it's probably less important. But so that's why it's difficult, because you can provide the right lighting conditions and the right flow for LPS, nice and gentle, but that means that your aquapora aren't going to grow because they need much more light and much more flow. And so that's why it's difficult. But the thing with that is, with a mixed reef tank, and when I'm talking about mixed reef, I mean mostly LPS, SPS with a few, LPS and softies with maybe 20% SPS corals.
Yeah.
And more often than not, you'll find that the SPS corals are the bits, I've got a cat hair in my eye, the SPS corals are the bits that struggle. And if you fix them, then that chances are means you've turned your lights up too much, so your LPS are going to struggle. So that's what people mean when they say mixed reef is harder than SPS corals. And if you're an experienced reefer, I think that's probably right. And I think I would have a better shot now having SPS only than I would trying to keep 50% SPS, 50% LPS, acans, whatever. But I think if you're newish to the hobby, SPS are much, much harder than keeping a mixed reef. And I think you'll have success with 70% of your tank if you've got a mixed reef. 30% won't look great, but if you're relatively new to the hobby, that's not bad going. And SPS corals suck out; they will crash your tank like that if you don't keep your eye on the ball, because they suck out a ton of alkalinity, calcium, trace elements, all this sort of stuff, and they're fussy. They might start bleaching, and you're thinking, "What the hell's going on?"
It's not really a mixed reef if all the SPS die, though. That's just an LPS reef.
But that's if it's SPS. Well, this is very true. But you'll find, and mixed reef tanks include SPS corals like Montes.
Yes,
or Possidipora. That actually don't need a ton of light, and they're okay with a bit less flow. They're still better with more flow in particular, but they don't need it. But if you're trying to keep Aquapora in particular, they're hard. It's keeping you give someone who's been in the hobby for a year a tank full of Aquapora, they'll kill it within 6 months easily. Mixed reef tank, they might kill some of it, but they won't kill all of it.
I agree. I agree with what you say. So
because I'm right.
On this point, I'll let you have it. Although I still think you're arguing the point that an LPS reef is easier than an SPS reef.
I'm not, because you'll still have, and I've had a mixed reef.
You'll still have some surviving SPS.
And you might find that actually all your SPS survive and your LPS start sulking.
Yeah, true. If your light's too high.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
I never actually realized it. So my 1,000-liter tank, which is it's in that last video I put up today twice. That is a mixed reef. It has LPS and SPS in it. It doesn't have any soft corals in it. Oh no, well it had some recordias, which are anemones. But other than that, it was mostly SPS corals. But I didn't do anything special for that tank. That tank was just luck. I didn't place certain corals in certain places or anything like that because they'll survive there. It literally just ended up like that, if you see what I mean.
Okay.
And I just got lucky.
Yeah. Well, my main tank is a mixed reef technically. I've got zoas. I've got some rock flower anemones, and I've got a few acans and a torch. But I think that the only time that it applies when a mixed reef is genuinely harder than an SPS tank is having a mixed reef where everything is perfect.
Yes,
That absolutely. If you gave me a mixed reef or an Aquapora tank and said you've got to make everything perfect, and if you do, I'll give you £1 million, I'll take the Aquos. So that is the only time I think it's if you're a junior reefer, first couple of years of the hobby, mixed reef is easier.